chasing stars and holding you. I can't see the end, but we'll see it through.
Yes, we are live.
Oh man, you went live. I'm changing my earphones over.
That's all right. We'll edit that part out.
Yeah, totally. It's not live or anything. Welcome everybody. So with us tonight, we got Dan, Alex, Dave, and Rob. I'm just reading names in order of appearance on my screen, and obviously myself, getting my proverbial crap together apparently. So welcome to another FPVFC town hall. Have a few articles to cover this evening, a couple FAA updates that should be of note, but we'll go ahead and get started on that. Let me get my window shared here. All right, so first up, let me click a button here. First up, we have FAA panel at National Public Safety UAS conference highlights new waivers and process improvements. Definitely better late than never, I guess, but definitely a good deal. So at the National Public Safety UAS conference hosted by drone responders, a panel of FAA officials provided critical updates on new waivers, regulatory processes, and efforts to improve access to airspace for public safety drone operations. The session, moderated by industry expert Michelle Duquette, a veteran of Miter Corp's UAS program, featured insights from Tim Errol, Chief Operating Officer of FAA Air Traffic Control, John Meehan, Air Safety Analyst, and Kerry Fleming, Director of the FAA's Systems Operations Support Center. So,
Some
of
names
note,
we've heard of before.
Absolutely. Of note, the FAA officials discussed an expedited waiver process for public safety organizations operating under Part 107. The Public Safety Organization Shielded Operations Waiver, that's something we've heard for a while now, enables agencies to conduct critical drone missions with fewer operational restrictions. It allows beyond visual line of sight operations within 1 statute mile of the remote pilot in command without the need for visual observers, operations over people and moving vehicles under certain conditions, and Class G airspace operations with the potential for use in controlled airspace via the Special Government Interest Process. So shielded operations refer to drone flights conducted at low altitudes within close proximity to obstacles such as buildings or trees, which serve as a natural buffer between the drone and manned aircraft. This concept reduces the risk of collision by keeping drone flights within a predictable and controlled environment. To qualify, operators must equip their drones with certain equipment, such as anti-collision lights, propeller guards, or a parachute recovery system. Meehan emphasized that collisions between drones and manned aircraft remain a major concern, underscoring the need for visibility enhancements. The streamlined waiver process is especially beneficial for volunteer fire departments and search and rescue organizations, which do not qualify for public aircraft operations under Part 91. Alongside the Part 107 developments, the FAA introduced a new waiver under Part 91 tailored for public safety entities. This waiver, tied to an airspace authorization, provides broader access for qualified agencies. They do have to pass 2 regulatory gates, which agencies must meet statutory criteria, typically as a government entity, and agencies must align with the congressional definition outlined in the FAA reauthorization. Unlike shielded operations, which can apply to volunteer organizations and non-PAO operations or operators, the Part 91 waiver provides expanded access to airspace for law enforcement, fire departments, and emergency management agencies. And then Meehan and Fleming addressed concerns about the certificate of authorization process, which has historically been lengthy and complex. While some public safety COAs, such as drone as first responder programs, still require extensive review due to their technological and airspace complexities, standard COA processing times have improved significantly. Previously taking months, many COAs are now processed within 6 weeks. I mean, I guess that's a little better. Shielded operations waiver can be issued in as little as 1 to 2 weeks, provided applicants correctly complete the checklist. Officials stress that delays can often result from incomplete applications. FAA has provided guidance materials, including a step-by-step application guide via drone responders and the FAA UAS Support Center. Well, at least they're providing instructions now. I mean, that's a good deal. Let's see. And then standardized communication, make sure everybody's using the same terminology and structured application to streamline those approvals. And then the other of note is mass gathering TFRs. So Fleming also discussed new temporary flight restrictions authorized by Congress in the latest FAA reauthorization, specifically for mass gathering. Unlike security-related TFRs or airshow TFRs, this new category applies to large public events and allows organizers to request temporary drone restrictions. That's probably a good thing. And then let's see. And then obviously they're moving ahead towards automation in the waiver processing. Probably a good thing in order to get these through quickly. And but they do say safety still requires human oversight when dealing with BV loss, complex airspace, and public safety missions. So more efficient technology-driven solutions while maintaining rigorous safety standards. So, I mean, this is a step in the right direction by far. I know one of the biggest complaints about waivers is just how long they take and have historically taken in the past. I mean, even simple waivers taking 90 days just for standard things, not even talking about public safety or anything like that in the past. 90 days, 6 months, that kind of thing. So serious planning required beforehand. So
And no
this is a good
help,
deal.
just no,
Yeah.
try again.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I was going to. Yeah, there are a couple of real positives. The application guide. I mean, it sounds like, when you said it, Josh, it sounded like, oh, if you didn't know, it'd be like, well, don't they always do that? Well, no. And so this is a big deal that they provide a step by step, and they're trying to help it, and they don't want you to do a copy and paste, and that's a reasonable request. But to give you a guide and hey, this is what we're looking for, that's really good. It's good to hear.
Yep,
We can
absolutely.
also step back. The event that you were referencing, where this was presented, was in Williamsburg, Virginia, and it's Rob works closely with this organization, and Charles Werner is one of the leaders of the group, and he chats with us regularly. And Charles has gotten, I think it's over 8,000 organizations. Public safety organizations around the world are now members of drone responders. So they're doing a lot of good, significant reach. They bring in FAA folks, and we can say a little bit about the shielded ops that we helped get that started in 2019. And again, Dan and I, when we worked on the Beyond Visual Line of Sight Aviation Rulemaking Committee, we brought it up again. So it's, are we the originators of the idea? No. It was in XJet brought it to our attention in 2017 that it's something that's done in New Zealand. So we described it, pressed it, and in those taskings. And so this is great that public safety is able to push this forward.
Absolutely. All right. Let's see. Also, FAA is set to propose new rules for expanded drone use in U.S. deliveries. This comes from Drone Excel and Hayek Kestelu. On Friday, U.S. Transportation Secretary Sean Duffy announced that the FAA is gearing up to propose new rules. To propose rules expanding drone use for deliveries and other services, a potential turning point for the U.S. drone industry. Speaking after touring Amazon Prime's Air headquarters in Seattle, Duffy told reporters the FAA aims to provide more authority and clarity to drone developers, with a proposal expected in relatively short order. I mean, short is relative.
I feel like we've heard this one before.
I know, right?
Last year? To drone manufacturers, this is new to me. I wonder what, I mean,
Yeah.
we all are waiting for the Beyond Visual Line of Sight NPRM, but I'm wondering if he's referencing something else about AAM.
So this development, first reported by Reuters, responds to industry demands, but lands amid the FAA's past delays and the Trump administration's budget cuts. These rules could unlock widespread beyond visual line of sight operations, critical for companies like Amazon Prime Air, Zipline, and Wing. Yet with precedents like remote ID dragging on for years and agency resources thinning, the road ahead is fraught. Here's the breakdown. So regulatory hope versus historical delays. Duffy stressed urgency. If we don't have clear rules that allow innovators to innovate and create products and test products, it won't happen here. The FAA's focus is BV loss, a goal the Commercial Drone Alliance championed in February, decrying the bureaucratic and time-consuming approval process. So just to note, the Commercial Drone Alliance, February is the most recent time that they've shouted out about this. They've been doing this for a year or two at this point. So let's definitely push that forward here a little bit. But the agency's draft has input from other federal bodies suggesting momentum, but the FAA's history tempers optimism 100%. Remote ID, proposed in 2019 to track drones in real time, stumbled through industry pushback and legal fights, landing in 2023, 4 years later. Now, Trump-era budget cuts and staff reductions could further hamstring the FAA, making Duffy's short-order timeline a tall order. Well, even if it wasn't budget cuts, it'd still be a tall order. Drone delivery hinges on specialized hardware. DJI's Flycart 30 hauls 66 pounds over 10 miles at 45 miles an hour with a winch for precise drops and dual battery redundancies, though its 28-minute flight time shrinks with cargo. Amazon Prime's Air drones, tailored for 5-pound packages over 15 miles, have logged FAA-approved trials since 2022. Zipline's fixed-wing drones carrying 3.8 pounds up to 50 miles excel in medical drops, while Wing's nimble craft manages 2.5-pound loads over 12 miles, optimized for suburban runs. BV loss demands more detect and avoid systems to dodge obstacles beyond 1,000 feet. Battery life remains a bottleneck. Wing's 15-minute flights and Zipline's 45-minute range needs boost for broader scale. Infrastructure lags too. The FAA's unmanned aircraft system traffic management, evolving with NASA, must enforce 200-foot horizontal and 100-foot vertical separations for thousands of flights. Urban corridors are scarce and rural hubs are nascent. So, I mean, here's the deal with this is relatively short order. I mean, I'll hold my breath for a minute on this one, but we'll see what happens. But it says the proposal will likely expand Part 107 to cover BV loss, higher weights, and night flights, which are now waiver only, integrating drones with manned airspace, addressing privacy, and quieting noise. Needs resources the FAA may lack. Remote ID's 4-year trek suggests a 2027 finish at best, especially with cuts thinning staff for technical or public reviews. And then the Chinese drone ban complicates matters. Operators might scramble for U.S.-made delivery drones. Zipline, Wings, Wingcopters, and Amazon delivery drones are all proprietary. So, and as we've discussed, and actually I've got another one that we'll talk about next, U.S.-made drones are few and far between in terms of the capabilities of this, and incredibly expensive for the same thing that DJI does, right? So we'll see what happens with this. We'll keep an eye on it. We're still waiting for a BV loss in PRM.
And we're ready. We're ready.
Yeah, for
Pretty
sure.
sure it's written. It's just getting held up by the lawyers reviewing
Yeah.
it, probably.
Well, I understood that in end of January they had the 6 other agencies that they need to get approval from. That was done, and it was just held up with a change in administrations at this point.
So, I mean, at some point we need to get that out and move forward. And so,
yeah, and good for Duffy to push this because of the whether it was I believe an off the cuff comment where the president said, "Well, we want every agency to cut 10 regulations for every regulation they issue." So that's good for him for being speaking up and saying that we need this because we do.
And I mean, I would
So
say that the regulation cut for every new regulation is something Trump did during the first administration. I don't think it was 10. I think it was like 2 or 3. But
Yeah, yeah. With the last 2 weeks, he said 10-1,
yeah.
and hopefully
So
hopefully it was just an off the cuff comment.
yeah. So
well, I wonder if with regulations where they are permitting more things, how that affects it, because it's a regulation, but it's a regulation allowing the use of something versus taking away the use of something.
Yes,
So that's also an interesting.
yeah.
agreed.
So all right. So next up, this is kind of interesting. So the Helios, it's a U.S. made under 250 gram DJI mini alternative with AI and 4K. So it's coaxial, and it comes from
Patented.
what's that?
I thought the coaxial stuff like that was patented and by who makes the Switchblade, which I forget what company, but I thought there's a company that has the patent for coaxial designs like that.
Well, is this coming
Yeah,
from
that's
China, and do they care?
Oh.
No, this is
Yeah.
coming from
Well,
U.S.
this is U.S. made, so that's
Oh,
why.
okay.
Yeah. So it's
So I'd be
coming from
curious.
Ascent Aero Systems. It's a rugged, AI-powered, American-made coaxial nano drone designed for public safety, emergency response, and industrial use. It's built tough, NDA compliant, and ready for real-world missions, making it a strong contenders for those looking to move away from DJI. 249 grams. Helios is lightweight, but packs serious tech. It has an AI-powered obstacle avoidance and object tracking for smooth flights. 4K ultra low light camera with digital tilt, pan, and zoom. 4G LTE connectivity for long range control. 30 plus minutes of flight time. 45 mile per hour max speed for rapid deployment, and field swappable batteries for uninterrupted missions. What do we think the price tag is here, guys?
This is
it's
really
20K.
high.
It's
No,
thousands.
it's not 20. It's thousands. I want to guess 4.
So Dave, you
Oh.
would be close to correct. It's $4,500 compared to DJI Mini Pro starting at $759.
Yeah.
So
lot.
why the high price? NDA compliance. That really doesn't necessitate a high price. So
Yeah, it's going to be hard to justify that as a DJI Mini competitor, though. I would hate to see what that would do indoors without prop guards.
yeah, right. Enterprise grade durability, built for extreme conditions, unlike consumer drones.
Yeah, I'm sure the
pro
latency
level-
over the cellular connection is going to be great too, for
Yeah,
indoor
it's gonna be
conditions.
So, yeah, for law enforcement, emergency responders, and industrial operators who can't use DJI due to security concerns, Helios offers a compliant but expensive alternative. So, yes, if your government locked you out of DJI, feel free to spend this much because you're trapped into it. Like, it's so stupid. I mean, good on them for creating something. It's cool. It's unique. I'm curious how the hell it lands, but yeah.
Yeah, I am legitimately interested in that. The reason I say that is a really low price point for an NDAA compliant drone. But that also tells me that there may be a lot more markup in some of the NDAA options than what we're led to believe.
Yep.
Yeah,
So-
and I'm wondering if it's a markup due to availability and requirements, or it's like you can't buy this, so buy this, and you're trapped
Or
into.
they're just doing
things
standard
like that.
dude trying to sell to government, where government has tons of tax dollars and doesn't care about how much they spend.
Yeah, but I mean, me as a taxpayer, I care about what they spend, right?
Yeah, we might, but they don't.
Oh, jeez.
But I found who I think has the patent for coaxial drones. It's a group called Nordic Unmanned. So maybe part of the cost is a licensing fee for
It's possible.
using that.
That's what I was going to say. There's plenty of room for an IP license fee. That's what I was going to say.
Yeah.
So,
So,
but yeah,
well, if you want one, available for pre-order and expected Q4 of 2025. So, yeah, there you go. So
You can buy it at a
Alright.
helicopter company dealer.
Robinson Helicopter Company dealers. So, yeah, interesting. I can't imagine spending $4,500 on a sub 250 drone, but that's just me. Can we have a non 4G one?
Yeah, does that come with unlimited bandwidth? And how
is
long
it paying for your?
contract?
Is it paying for your connectivity? Is what I want to know.
Probably not. That's
Yeah,
sold separately.
probably. Yeah, of course it is. Yeah.
And costs more than a cell phone's internet connection, probably.
All right, so this is totally interesting. I thought this was unique, and it brought back images of Batman. So the DoD turns its focus to 6G with concept that could help sense drones and all the other things in life. So as the Defense Department anticipates the wireless networks of the future for warfighting missions, it has shifted its focus for research and development primarily to 4G wireless technologies. Marlon Macklin, Deputy Principal Director for the Pentagon's Future G Office, said Wednesday. The DoD is looking to the next generation wireless tech to further build on improved speeds, latency, and capacity it gained with 5G and support the U.S. military's use of new capabilities at the edge. With that, Macklin said the Pentagon is beginning to experiment with 6G in a variety of ways. 6G will introduce some new features that some of the community are aware of, but I don't think all fully appreciate the implications of that. As an example, the Future G's office has been experimenting with a concept called integrated sensing and communication, which uses radio frequencies of all objects, including those not actively transmitting data, connected to a network to create situational awareness of the surrounding environment, according to Macklin. So as these RF signals are going out there, moving from radio towers connecting to our devices, they transmit our voice data. They transmit data as our devices connect to the internet. But as those RF signals are bouncing around the environment, they can also paint a picture of what's going on in that environment. So I don't know if you all remember the Batman scene where they created they used all the cell phones in Gotham to basically create a sonar vision of everything that was happening in the city. This is that.
I'm pretty sure that
So they're
cell
going to
phone
make me pay
companies.
for a cell network and use my cell phone as a device to find where they are.
I'm pretty
So
sure
they
cell
can
phone
pay for
companies
their
can
system.
do this already. I thought I
Yeah,
read
sure.
articles years ago
911.
about tracking migration patterns of birds with cell phone signals, because
Wow.
the cell phone tower can detect the changes in the signal strength of the devices near it, and when a flock of birds fly by, they can tell that happened. But I don't think that's anything new about 6G. At least this article doesn't give us enough details on that.
Yeah.
I thought what they would talk about with 6G is how they are intending it to be a 3-dimensional network instead of a 2-dimensional network, because that way you could connect aircraft like general aviation, commercial aviation, and UAS to the same network, and even maybe some space systems to the network. And that's what I thought that they were going to say. Why? Because it'd be a single network that communicates all those things with a 3-dimensional system instead of the 2D current system.
Yeah. Well, it says one way in which the U.S. military could apply this emerging concept is to improve awareness and management of drones in a given environment. So we've got a lot of drone delivery businesses that will expand their operations, right? So where we understand the standards are currently heading is that drone swarm control, drone deconfliction, and then also drone detection. If you've been tracking what's been going on in the news, when you add a national security perspective to that, we sure have a lot of incidents where folks who are weaponizing commercial drones. So I think your imagination can run pretty fast with why that's important, why we need to lead innovation in that area.
A lot? What's a lot?
I know, right?
So it sounds to me like the government trying to add some things to the next version of 6G to the country to where they have more visibility into what's going on.
Yeah. So, and again, if they're using this, in, conflict zones, that kind of thing, I guess that's one thing. Using it domestically, I feel like is a little bit of a different thing, right? So, I don't know. I mean, maybe I'm just a
I
little
could
bit
see it
of
in
a
disaster
conspiracy
response,
theorist.
maybe.
Yeah, I
there's
mean that makes sense.
Phones just
100%.
laying around
Mhm.
when
Sounds like
maybe other systems might be down.
Sounds like a good way to invade your privacy without a warrant.
Yes, that's where I'm at, Dan. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you for verbalizing that with me. So, anyway, that's definitely a unique situation.
Rob was
All
going
right.
to say something.
Yeah, go ahead, Rob.
And then he's back on mute.
Rob, are you
So
there,
maybe
buddy?
he wasn't going to say something.
Okay, fair. All right. Moving on to the next. So the DIU picks 4 companies, including 2 Ukrainian teammates, for one-way drone prototypes. So again, this is coming out of defense, and as we all know, a lot of technological innovation, especially in aerospace, comes out of the defense sector.
And this is the organization that issues the Blue UAS framework.
Yep, 100%. So the
So
Defense
whereas
Innovation Unit.
NDAA compliance is you just say you're yes, I'm NDAA compliant, and you have to be honest
it.
about it, prove
Yeah.
it. This is Blue UAS, very different. This you have to be vetted.
Yep. All right. So, heeding a congressional directive, the Pentagon's Defense Innovation Unit has selected 4 companies to proceed with development of long-range one-way drones capable of reaching their target amid stiff electronic warfare interference, the office announced today. The awards in the Artemis program went to U.S.-based drone makers AeroVironment and Dragoon, both companies we've heard of a lot, as well as software firms Auterion and Swan, each of whom partnered with one of 2 separate unnamed Ukrainian drone producers. According to a DIU press release, contract values were not disclosed. True to the name of the Greek goddess of the hunt, Artemis aims to deliver a ground launch prototype that can take off quickly and expeditiously and fly anywhere from 31.1 miles to over 300 kilometers, or 50 kilometers to 300 kilometers at low altitudes. Following a solicitation for bids posted just over 4 months ago, DIU moved quickly to sift through 165 proposals, carry out flight demonstrations, and issue contracts. DIU release says. According to Defense News, Artemis stems from a congressional item in the aid package passed for Ukraine last year. We are excited about the non-traditional companies who are providing low-cost, adaptable, long-range UAS platforms with the potential to maximize operational flexibility for the joint force. This comes from Trent Immenecker, DIU's program manager for the effort, he said in the agency's release. This was the intent of Congress's direction to rethink how to get capabilities to the warfighter at speed and scale that can deliver much faster than traditional programs of record. Immenecker told Defense News that 2 of the drones have a range of roughly 100 kilometers, while the other 2 can fly over 1,000 kilometers. That's all. Wow, that's far. The smaller drones, DIU is evaluating costs under $20,000 each, while the larger systems run closer to $70,000, the outlet reported. That's significantly less than most defense projects. The next step, according to the DIU notice, is to complete prototyping and demonstrate success by May 2025 with the goal of having a successful prototype in hand by the end of this fiscal year. That's moving quick. Very quickly. So let's see. Go ahead, Dave.
In the brief exposure I've had to the DIU, I was delighted with how sharp and how knowledgeable about the subject matter the individuals were. These were not guys from another part of the government stuffed into jobs. They were aviation and UAS experts, and they're bright and capable and enthused and motivated what they were doing. So pretty exciting about to have people like that at the DIU.
Yeah. So let's see. The Artemis effort aims to deliver capability in dire need on the modern battlefield, highlighted by the conflict in Ukraine, where drones have formed the tip of the spear of frontline fighting. As the war has dragged on, dense electronic warfare has disrupted the use of many systems, leading to interest in alternative navigational techniques like terrain mapping, so that drones can avoid interference and dodge detection by emitting fewer signals that can be picked up by sensors. Operators additionally tried to fly systems as low as possible, hugging the curvature of the Earth to avoid adversary radar. DIU also asked for systems that can carry a payload of at least 10 kilograms with a goal over 25 kilograms. The solicitation further asked for platforms that incorporate third-party software and hardware systems in a modular, warm, swappable manner, and that proprietary interfaces, message formatting, or hardware that required vendor-specific licensing are not permitted. That's incredible. That's kind of a unique feature set right there.
So they're not small UAS. Over 55.
No. Yeah. So that's definitely interesting. So we'll see where this heads. It'll be interesting to see what comes out of it. But all right. Where are we at on time? About halfway through. I'm just trying to. I still have 3 more articles, but we don't have to cover all of them. This is cool, and I really want one. So if somebody really wants to buy me one of these FLIR cameras that I'm about to talk about, feel free. They start at about $4,000 for a drone-sized camera.
Ouch.
Yeah, I did look up the price. They're a little expensive, but drones are becoming more advanced by the day, and a major new release from Teledyne FLIR OEM is set to take their capabilities to the next level. The company headquartered in Wilsonville, Oregon, just unveiled radiometric thermal cameras called the Boson Plus and the Hadron 640R Plus. These are improved versions of its Boson and Hadron 640R thermal camera modules. With that comes game-changing sensors that don't just detect heat, but measure exact temperatures at every pixel in real time. That is super cool. This breakthrough is a major leap forward for industries that rely on drones, including infrastructure inspection, search and rescue, precision agriculture, and defense. By providing highly accurate thermal data in a compact, drone-ready package, these cameras expand the possibilities of what drones can do and where they can go next. So you've got here's a size comparison here. This is the Hadron 640R Plus, size next to a quarter. They designed these camera modules specifically for use on drones and unmanned systems. The Hadron 640R Plus, for example, weighs 56 grams and yet delivers high-resolution thermal imaging with radiometric data. This lightweight design extends drone flight times, while the IP54 rated dust and water resistance make it durable enough for outdoor missions. I would hope so. The Hadron is a key product for FLIR and it has continuously undergone upgrades. So there are 3 versions of this that I found. I was searching for prices because I wanted to know. There is the Hadron 640, the Hadron 640 Plus, and then the Hadron 640R Plus. And I think they actually started about $3,800 on the website I found. FLIR's website just has the button that says, please click for more information. And that's how you know things are expensive. And then you got the Boson Plus. Has multiple resolution options, 640 by 512 and 320 by 256, offering flexibility for different drone platforms. Both camera modules integrate with Teledyne FLIR's Prism AI, a powerful software that enables automated object detection, tracking, and classification. This means drones can not only capture thermal data, but also uses AI to analyze it in real time. So that's pretty cool.
Very cool.
So I'm going to briefly touch on 2 more. This is pretty interesting, and I'm going to kind of summarize this one real quick. I'm not going to go through it in detail, but for those who have been in the military or have family members who have been in the military, one of the things that the military is obstinate about is returning the gear that you check out, essentially. And one of the things that happens is if you lose for example, a drone out on a mission, they oftentimes will expend an exorbitant amount of money trying to locate said drone. And the other problem is that the soldiers that checked out said drone and had to go find it could put themselves in harm's way. One of the things that the U.S. Army is preparing for is essentially let it go when it comes to something like this. Dave, did you just have a bird fly through your house?
I did not.
So says the U.S. Army is preparing a new memo to clarify the rules for flying and losing smaller drones in hope of convincing soldiers and commanders that they need not fear paperwork so much that they leave their surveillance and weapon systems on shelves. So what this can lead to is obviously just not checking it out, using something that could provide life-saving information and data back to soldiers for fear of losing it and having to deal with the investigation and the paperwork and all the stuff that comes out of it. So they call it
I'll find myself some used drones out there.
It says if you lose a drone or crash it or break it, you have to do this full-on investigation. An investigation officer has to be appointed. This comes from Colonel Nick Ryan, Director of the Army Capability Manager for UAS. They do a full investigation and a report to determine if the soldier is liable and if the soldier has to get docked pay. One drone was known as the Flying Flipple, and they never wanted to fly it. Flipple stands for Financial Liability Investigation of Property Law. So, if one goes down, soldiers may put themselves at risk in combat zones to recover the platforms in hopes of avoiding investigation. And then, moreover, the formal investigation can cost more than the drone itself. The service can spend between $8,000 and $9,000 for a sergeant first class to devote their time to each investigation, presumably even for drones that cost a fraction of that. So it just doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, if we're using common off-the-shelf technology, who cares? I mean,
So
the whole
drone
the whole
hunting now.
objective. Yeah, the whole objective was, don't put people in harm's way. Use a cheap drone. So I think this is sensible effort by the Army.
Yeah.
Did they mention any reward for civilians finding them?
Well, for one, you'd have to brave a combat zone. So, all right. So this is a good deal. I mean, making soldiers liable for stuff like this. How much money do we spend on bombs and missiles that get dropped, right? And a drone, like, let it go. Build another one. Like, move on. All right. And last but not least, Iowa Senate advances bill to expand drone restrictions over farmland. So March 17th, the Iowa Senate passed Senate File 491 with a 46-3 vote, advancing legislation that strengthens drone regulations over agricultural land. The bill builds on a 2024 law extending protections against unauthorized drone surveillance of farms of 40 acres or more, a move aimed at safeguarding farmer privacy and livestock welfare.
Well, I can see where this came from.
Well, legislation redefines the protected area of a secured farmstead, previously limited to animal feeding operations and a 400-foot radius to a farmstead. This broader term now covers contiguous land of at least 40 acres used for farming or pasture, generating a minimum of $15,000 in annual commodity sales. The bill prohibits drone flights without landowner permission within 400 feet of farm animals, equipment, or structures like residence, barns, and manure storage facilities. This expands
400
coverage.
feet is very strategic there, because if you're 401 feet above them,
don't want their privacy invaded any more than you and I. He noted that drones can frighten livestock and disrupt farmed operations, a concern echoed in the original source. Penalties remain consistent with current law: simple misdemeanor for flying over restricted areas, and a serious misdemeanor with fines up to $2,560, that's oddly specific, for drones equipped with surveillance devices capturing audio or video.
I'm pretty sure that could all be reworded to say we're tired of pesky journalists flying over our farm animals and getting us in trouble for doing things we're not supposed to do. So we want to
And-
block them.
And here I thought it was in the intellectual property of grazing patterns.
Sure.
Yeah, I'm with you, Dan.
No, there's been
This
too
is,
many cases of journalists getting farmers in trouble for mistreating their animals that they're fighting back.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just fly some bush planes at 500 feet over top.
There you go. Or, as we should mention, this is, of course, in direct conflict with the FAA's preemption. So
Yes.
this should not be able to go into effect as an Iowa law. We'll see if it does or not.
Well, it can go into effect until somebody challenges it, right? So, and
Yep.
that's the thing with laws in
Exactly.
the United States is
Yep.
everything is fair game. It's whoever decides to violate said law and then challenge it all the way up, right? So,
Right. Yep.
and that's the regulatory implications, right? So, it says, it fortifies Iowa's stance on rural privacy, expanding drone restrictions to reflect modern farming realities. But it says the bill protects farmers, but risks limiting transparency in an opaque industry. There you go, Dan. Balancing privacy with accountability remains the challenge as Iowa navigates this drone debate. A bigger issue looms: the FAA's 2018 stance that holds exclusive authority over national airspace. It could clash with state laws like this. So,
There you go.
Yep. So, anywho, that's all I have for this evening.
I had one thing I wanted to mention, which was we're working on the FCC notice for public rulemaking. Comments are due on April 7th. And so in the Federal Register, there was a short dissertation on this notice for public rulemaking. And it sounded pretty good. It sounded like it was generally positive for UAS. You can hear the sarcasm in my voice. So there was they were going to add command and control capabilities to the 450 megahertz band. Well, that's good. And we remember back to the FAA Reauthorization Act of 2018, Section 374, which told the FCC and the FAA that they were to identify protected spectrum for UAS. So if you read just the short write-up, this is all sounding pretty good. They made it a little easier to talk air to ground, and there's some other provisions in here. Until you open up the 72-page document and start reading about it, they're going to turn the auction of this spectrum over to a private company, and they're contemplating a single company called Aura, and there probably will be subscription fees, and it's not protected spectrum, and it's already shared with air-to-ground radio telephony, so there'll be they're going to give the command and control preference, but no specification on how that's going to be handled technically. So the FCC has not done us any favors in the last 6-7 years that we've been at this, and it sounded good, but now it doesn't. So we'll be right.
It's a scheme to give this company more money. So somebody is proposing this and pushing it forward so that they can give their friends some more money. And so that the FCC will get a big chunk of money for the additional spectrum that they'll allocate to command and control for UAS. And then in turn, a single company will have the ability to auction off use or have individuals or companies pay for subscriptions and license fees to be able to operate in this. So 450 megahertz, obviously different from our existing 900, 2.4 gigahertz, 900 megahertz, 2.4 gigahertz, 5.8 gigahertz that we operate on with FPV. So this would be new sets of equipment and scary costs, subscriptions. And so we'll be writing up comments on it. We've got, I think, 4 or 5 pages of comments so far. So we'll get this turned around. And just like in the advanced NPRM that was due in March, we did post comments on that. We'll keep on this one.
This one, I think, is a bit more important. And like many things with the FCC, this will likely take years and years to promulgate. And we've got a number of individuals interested. So we've got people asking us, "Hey, when you figure this out, let us know. We'll put in comments." And so that's very positive. So one of those. I just wanted, another thank you for the members that support us. This is the sort of thing that we're doing, and it's a little dull, but it's important, and it will take a long time to come into fruition. But it's movement, but not necessarily in the right direction. That's all I had.
All right, Alex, anything from you, sir?
GQ voting ended on Sunday, and we'll get the announcement to the GQ track selection on Friday. So hopefully there'll be some good news there.
And this track is used where, Alex?
So it's the global qualifier track, the standard track that everyone in the world can set up and compete on to see who the best pilots in the world are.
Nice.
Excellent. Cool.
All right, Dan, anything for you, sir?
Nope, nothing from me.
All right, Rob, what you got for us? Anything?
Yeah, I got a couple updates straight out of the Lone Star State. It's going to be mostly impactful to some of the fellow Texas folks, if there's any listening. Medal of Honor grand opening this week up in Metroplex. So if you're in that area, there's going to be a TFR into effect this weekend for that. So it's a good reminder. I personally witnessed a lot of the Lance apps that do not display all the TFRs. So according to the FAA, the official mechanism is going to the TFR search and looking on their database. So part two, pivoting forward. Also, go ahead.
I said that's fun. That website's so fun.
Yeah,
and even
For
that
normies,
it's challenging
enough.
Yeah, it is definitely challenging to navigate, but yeah, they're throwing up a TFR for that for VIP movement. Part two, also Texas centric. House Bill 41 was proposed by East Texas representative named Hefner. Essentially, it's seeking to get rid of DGI in Texas. So similar to how some of the other states are following suit, it's slated to be moving towards committee. That's Wednesday here in a few days. So my intention, not on behalf of FPVFC, but on behalf of some of my other involvements, I'm going to be down in Austin as part of that, trying to educate, and inform some of our lawmakers, some of the concerns that they may not have considered. As the law is currently written, it would end the use of all Chinese-based SUAS and related equipment. So I don't know about y'all, but I'm not aware of any company right now that's making batteries that's not sourced from China, except Skydio, because they got sanctioned.
So my question to you is that for all like government and public entities, or is that like every
public entities?
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, it's gonna be public entities. Yes, sir.
Gotcha. Okay.
So if anybody's feels inclined to do so and they have opinions on it one way or the other, I would encourage them to reach out to all the Texas representatives, and we're going to see how this thing lands. Honestly, with the NDAA, including the language that the cybersecurity audit is required before year's end, I think it would be wise and prudent to postpone any type of reactive lawmaking like this until we see what the outcome of that is.
Yeah. Yep, and that's if there's an outcome to that, right? That's the same thing where if it's not picked up by anybody, it automatically goes into effect, and yeah, so that's good times.
Correct. That's correct. So yeah, so not any really exciting news, but that's what I got.
All right. Well, thank you for that, Rob. All right, last chance. Anything from around the room? No. All right, guys. Thank you for joining us. We've got some positives. We've got some negatives. We've got some weirdness, as always. And we hope this was informative for you guys. We will continue working behind the scenes on regulatory stuff, whether it's FCC or Texas or any of the things that kind of pop up. But we do what we can, and I think we've had a major impact up until this point, and we'll keep going forward. So we thank you for supporting us. We thank you for being here, and we'll see you again in another couple of weeks. And get out and fly. Weather's getting a little better across the U.S., and it's already starting to get warm here in Arizona. So that's a bad sign. All right, with that, guys, have a great night. Thank you for being here.
Thank you.
Fly so high, I'm hypnotized. What's up is down, what's left is right. Chasing stars and holding you. I can't see the end, but we'll see it through.